So in today's video, we're going to go over all the mistakes that I made in the previous bull cycle. From my buy orders from 2019 up until 2021, we're going to go over what I was holding, why I made mistakes, and technically what would I do differently. So let's get into the screen. So hello on the screen, people. I hope you're well. Now, obviously, Bitcoin is on the screen. I am a holder of Bitcoin. I held Bitcoin and I still hold it today. I did, however, take some money off the table when it was around $54,000. I've been buying Bitcoin for a while. It's been quite a good little journey, but I look to accumulate through altcoins. The majority of this video is going to be my mistakes through altcoins. There's been a lot of mistakes. Stick around, you'll find out why, and I will explain why I made those mistakes and what I'm going to do to improve it. Now, if you are in my community, you'll know this on my Patreon. Crypto holdings, I have a section for that on my Discord. It's basically a list of what I've got. Even today, what I've got right now. I hold my ratios on there so people can see what percentage split I've got for stables, Bitcoin, and obviously altcoins too. It makes sense. But you'll find that all the assets that I'm talking about today, apart from two, I no longer hold. There's a reason for that, and let me explain. So the first one is Cardano. Why? I bought Cardano in 2017, made some money. I rebought it again in 2019 and 2020. I got a really good order around 3 and 4 cents in that time period. However, my first mistake, and it's going to be a little bit of a running commentary of this, I sold far too early, right? So essentially when you see this big massive spike on this first run up, I sold at 168, roughly around this kind of level here, like that sort of time period. Roughly that first big spike, what we were getting to some mental highs in crypto. I was like, nah, I'm out of here. Nah, no thank you. I was making too much money. And that's a really weird thing to say. I was making too much money. It sounds egotistic, but you do. When you're playing with certain money and when you're buying, and this is a massive learning point for everyone involved, if you can buy an asset at 4 cents, 3 cents, whatever, and it's at $160 odd, do the maths and figure out, oh my God, that's a problem I had. I was like, oh, this is mental. It wasn't just this that was ballooning. It was other things as well. And you will see throughout this video what was ballooning and why I was like, oh God, I needed to take some money off the table. My biggest thing, and you can write this down, I should have left some in. I just went out. I should have left 10, 20% in because there was a massive upside. Now, in this period here, you can see very, very clearly, well, majority of my bag that was sold at that point, we had a massive dip. You can see it. We dipped right the way back down to like $1 level. And then we went hurtling to the upside on that, in my opinion, a bit of a rip riding rocket, which was a bit of a melt up, essentially, you can say, when the market went on that extra pump. Caught a lot of people out. But yes, I made a lot of money, which is good. The next one was VeChain. Now with VeChain, I knew this from the previous cycle. Now the mentality of me buying this was it was a good solid asset that was low and it was making money. This is another one that I sold far too early. Far too early. I can't even remember when I sold it, but it was very, very early. It was way before this peak. It was way, way before. Massive regret not holding it because I had a decent bag. And yeah, I knew a lot about it. I was buying it. I knew it was low. I've already made money on it in the past. It was like, oh, looks like a really good opportunity. And it was. I can't remember when I sold it. It might have been sub 10 cents when I sold this easily because I would have made so much more. But as you can imagine, a little bit of a running theme here. Sold far too early. It's not a bad asset. Realistically, could make some good money in the future again in terms of what its use case is and all the kind of stuff around it. But for me, too early. Another one, Voyager. Now, I bought this very early. So I bought this back in the days where it was Ethos, when it was like the wallet that was mental. And I got a lot of money on the first cycle off this asset. This was before it was Voyager. It obviously died. And you can see what happened. Then he got taken over. He got taken over by a big corporation, like sort of, I can't remember what they were called actually. It was E-Star Trade and stuff like that. People in that. We all know what's happened now. They've gone bankrupt, etc. Now, this made me some really good money again, but I sold this at about $2.53, right? which sounds like an ace result, and it was considering the return. I was buying this when it was like 2 cents. It was like in this COVID crash period, I was buying it because I was thinking to myself, this isn't a bad little thing to kind of hold on to, because we were like going for a rebrand, they were changing. And I always think in the back of my mind, bull market, mass adoption, people, exchange. They tend to go up, like, usually. Now, obviously, it mooned, and you can see what happened. Bang. This went all the way up to like $6, $7. If I held a little bit longer, would have been much better results. As you can see, running theme of this video is I sold a lot of my bags far too early. Remember, keep a little bit in just in case it goes higher. I know for next time. But again, what's happened now? You can see. This is why I always say take profits. This is why I always say don't get married to your bag. This is why I always say always do your research, because you never know what's going to happen. These are now bankrupt. It is what it is. Happens. Another one, random asset, you probably think, but another one that I utilised because of my past cycle knowledge. I knew that this was going to do okay, but not groundbreaking results. It was low in price versus where it's been. And no, it did not get beyond its all-time high, but the return was okay. Didn't make loads of money on this one for all of obvious reasons. I sold probably pretty early, but again, I was buying at this post-COVID crash. Look at the price it was at, and then look at where it went to. It went to nearly 80 cents. That's a lot of return, right? From low to high. Anywhere in between, you made a lot of multiples. And I did, I made some multiples. Nothing groundbreaking though. However, it is what it is. As you can see, running theme, you accumulate all those up at those lows, then you start getting money. Later on, you'll start to see where my mistakes happen, which is kind of obvious. The next one, probably one of the best returns that I had in the cycle in terms of when I exited versus like ultimately how much I put in. Now, the idea was, this was the idea. I wanted to buy Ethereum at I think I wanted to buy Ethereum at $65, $66, around that point. It got to 82. I never quite hit it. Sounds pretty mad when you think that, but I then put all the capital that I had remaining I wanted to utilize for Ethereum, which was roughly around $5,000 at the time, into Zilliqa. It was a ballsy play, I know, and it paid off massively. Now, when we're talking when I bought this, I can't even remember. It was ridiculous, right? So where's COVID crash? It was roughly around this point here. It was like early April, kind of into May of 2020. When the COVID crash obviously happened, a lot of altcoins did drop a lot, and that is a mental price. Now, the one thing with Zilliqa was I knew about it from the previous cycle. I was excited about it because it was the first sharded blockchain back in the day. It obviously isn't that now. And it was one of those ones that came out at the wrong time. You're going to find a lot of patterns with that in terms of what I will pick as investments. Stuff that came out had a bit of a bull cycle, but didn't really rip enough to get enough network effect, or there wasn't enough developments in that time period, and the price action. You've seen that with a lot of assets now. You probably see that with a lot of Polkadot ecosystems with the crowd loans. There's quite a few. I would even argue Near Protocol is another one where it hasn't really fully got going before the prices crumble, right? Now, when we look at that, look at the growth of this. It went mad. I sold majority of my bag at 18 cents, majority of it. Now, this is where the kicker is. There was an additional element to this which was very interesting, which made me even more money. It was the GZIL token. Now, this went up. You probably won't believe this. I'll show you. Yes, it went up significantly. So, you staked it. The staking for a long period of time was between 30 and 40%. It was pretty good. You got GZIL as a token. Instead of getting ZIL, you got that. You could be able to convert it to ZIL if you wanted to, so whatever percentage of ZIL it would have been. It fucking ballooned, boys and girls. It went up massively. You can see that. I was like, go on then. I converted majority of my GZIL into ZIL, and therefore that then brought my dollar cost averaging even lower to where, you know, a lot of free assets into some ridiculous territory. And you can see here, this was when it was peaking. You know, May 2021, it was going mental, right? In this February, March and April time of 2021, you can see very, very clearly what was happening here. This was going fucking bananas. It was mental. So I made a lot of money. Most people know how much I made on this. It was a ridiculous amount of money. And when you combine it with the likes of Cardano, VeChain, and Voyager in terms of the early rewards, as well as the likes of Utrus and Zilliqa, that was my whole entire portfolio just going mental levels. It was a lot of money, and that is where my biggest mistakes came in, because I was selling far too early realistically on a lot of them assets, because I was like, oh my god, this is mental. This is why I say buy low. Buy as low as you possibly can. And I know it's hard saying that, but when you're in this space and you're in the horrible winters of a bear market and you find assets that are all right, they will go up over time with the network effect, with the growth of Bitcoin, with the growth of Ethereum, etc., and all that kind of good stuff. It's scary. And when you're dealing with like going from four figures into 5 figures, into 6 figures, and maybe into 7 figures, it's like, oh my days, this is madness. So you got to be careful. This is why I always say, try and take some profit, but maybe keep some just in case it carries on going, like me. The next one, Polkadot. May have heard of it. The tweet that I tweeted, Polkadot is free money under $5, back in that time period when it was about to rip, was a nice little bag. I made a lot of money on Polkadot because I had a lot of significant profits that I kind of, let's be honest here, sold far too early elsewhere, but I utilised it in a good way. You'll find out that I didn't utilise all the stuff in a good way in a minute. But I was buying at these low levels when it came out. I was always interested in Polkadot. I knew about it from parity through the previous ICO boom of 2017, that it was there. It's like, right, when's that coming out? Oh my god, hold on. Is it out yet? No. Is it out yet? No. Waiting and waiting. And it came out at a really good time, then bang. The crowd launch did not, obviously. But as I say in a lot of my tweets, Polkadot ecosystem is still very, very new. So give it a bit of patience. Now, with that being said, look at the growth. It was a very, very nice growth. It was a very, very nice, quick growth as well. it was nice. However, didn't really, I think, capture the imagination of everything when you think of the bigger picture. Crowd loans weren't out. The crowd loans literally released like a week before this kind of all kicked off, and you know, when you look at that, it's a big factor. So maybe, not financial advice, but when I talk about coins that didn't really get much of a run in the last cycle, ta-da, maybe, who knows. But yeah, still hold it, still love it, and yeah, accumulating. Now, some of the bad calls that I made. Hello, hi. You can see what's happening. I made a lot of money. I had a lot of fuck money kicking around, I'd probably argue as an argument, and I was utilising it. Now, this, I did make some money on it, but I spot at 3 cents, I sold at 4 cents, and it just kind of tanked from that point. It never really got going, and it was a lot of scammy kind of vibes to it, and it was a bit weird. So I didn't like it. And even though I did a video on it, and I was like explaining what it was, on the mindset version of it and the forefront information that was on the website, it looked relatively good. It all changed for obvious reasons. I don't think they're even going for a parachain now in terms of all that. I don't even think it's related to Polkadot anymore. There's all kinds of stuff happening. So yeah, you got to be careful with certain projects. They will, not so much change the goalposts that quickly, but some of them do. Zilliqa's changed their goalposts versus what it was. Voyager's obviously gone bankrupt due to what situations have happened. This is another one that I don't think is going to be on any parachains now. It's just kind of running on its own mechanism. Yeah, so one of my bad calls, but ultimately I didn't really lose much money in it, luckily, apart from the next one I'm going to talk about. Now, the next one is, you can probably imagine, on Federal Reserve. Right, this was by far the most mental period I have ever experienced in crypto. Now, I still get shit for this. I hold my hands up and say, yes, I did add to the fuel with the FOMO, but it was quite exciting. However, risk management. I'm probably the only person in the space that's getting shit for giving people a really good entry, but them not taking the exit point. I made an exit. Wasn't a very good one though, and it was a bit rubbish. I bought at like 19, 18 cents mark, give or take. Not great. It was hype. And it was also fuck money, essentially, in my view. It was looking really good. The hype got it, and I got caught up with the hype. My bad, I know. It happened. We're all emotional. I sold about 40% of it at 99 cents, thinking, oh, that's cool. It obviously carried on ripping and ripping and ripping. The problem that I had was I thought it was going to recover, and I just bought a bit more, and like basically that profit was kind of obliterated. However, I feel that this is a very, very interesting project that you just don't know what's going to happen. Now, I'm not saying that buy this, I'm just saying it's interesting to see what happens with DeFi, regulation, and all kinds of stuff. If it survives, you may well find that this little blip, and I know this is going to sound daft now, may be nothing in the future. You may just think, oh, cool, because a lot of previous bull market cycle coins look like that, and then they had another bull cycle, and then they just went vroom. For example, look at Cardano, right? Sounds daft, doesn't it? But I'm just saying, it may well do that. You just don't know. So just be careful. And this is what I say about a lot of things. If you are holding an asset that has totally died and tanked, before you buy it again, do your research, right? Do your research again, because you never know. Sometimes this is the most irrelevant thing on the planet versus fundamentals. It may well be absolutely fine. Will it be? How the fuck do I know, basically? So you got to be careful, but always, always, always do your research. Yes, I know if I'm alerting you to certain things, but that's why my YouTube channel is very, very different now versus what it was. I no longer do those. This is why I do it all in Patreon in terms of just like my journal of what I do. And I will cover deep dives. I will cover member requests for people in that way, because I'm not invested, because you can't be invested in everything, right? Anyways, next one, MetaHero. Another one that was absolutely hyper mentalist. It was mad. Look at the growth of that. Now, I was lucky enough to get involved in this due to Operation Crypto. He had a pre-sale allocation. I gave him some BNB because the allocation was pretty decent. And we both put 5 BNB in it at ICO prices or whatever, IEO prices, whatever. We got a decent chunk. We did very well off it. I sold this at 12 cents. I turned, I think it was 5 BNB into 290 or something like that BNB. You can imagine the growth of that. Now, that was in BNB value. I wish I held that. Now, ultimately, you can see I sold at 12 cents here, basically, before the big boom. If I held a lot longer, obviously I would have made even more money. Again, running theme of this video, hold your bags a bit more, Rash, it'll probably make you more money. However, that being said, I wasn't a fan of it. I covered it on a video thinking this is alright, but then the goalposts moved massively with certain partnerships and it went, hold on a minute, this is a bit weird. And I just went, nah, I'm out, gone. You've got to be ruthless. And even though a lot of people do get married to the bags and they want to make more money, and obviously, yes, I could have made more money, the hype train was too much. It was too much bullshit. And this is the one thing with crypto that you got to remember. Bullshit everywhere. Most of the assets that are out there are trying to turn you into a avid kind of pusher of content, which usually the content isn't great. So you got to be careful of that. Now, this is why I like certain coins like Polkadot. The marketing isn't very rum bang in your face. Even Near Protocol, it's not really in your face. There's a lot out there that aren't really in your face, and they shouldn't be in your face because the idea is for the product to do the talking, not the CEO. All right, so you got to be careful with that. So for me, massive mistake was selling too early. But ultimately, I think in terms of my values and learning from Federal Reserve as well, the hype made me react a lot quicker, which was probably a good learning point, essentially. The last one was a random token that I bought, was called Multivac. I know, fucking hell. But the reality was, I saw my Zilliqa and I wanted to have a quick play on something, and I was kind of in that kind of degenerate mood. And I bought it really low and I did well. I actually made like an 80-90% return on this randomly. But luckily I got out because I would have died. Look at it. I mean, it's crazy. I can't even remember when I bought it. I think I sold it. Oh, I can't remember. I think it... Yeah. So I had some stables and I had some Zilliqa money. And I remember selling obviously Zilliqa around here, May sort of time, May, April time. And obviously this was kind of ripping. And I made some money on this somewhere, somehow, before it actually just died. But no, I had no affiliation to it. I was like, yeah, whatever, I'll just buy it. Why not? Just something to put in. It was a bit of a competitor to Zilliqa. I thought, oh, this might do all right because the sharding narrative and the scaling solution narrative was there. And yeah, that kind of went well. But yeah, I got out unscathed. I don't think anyone, I don't think many people did get out unscathed though, unfortunately. But yeah, that is essentially my bull market story of how I made quite a lot of mistakes realistically when I think about it. Every bit of investment is going to be either good or bad. Nothing in the world of investing is perfect. I want people to get that out of their heads, because the reality is, no matter how much you're doing your research, it's all down to the team. It's all down to the mechanics of the protocol, the utility of it as well. Some things just don't grow. Look at Dogecoin, right? Would you have thought in 2020 Dogecoin would become a top performing asset in the market? No, would you? Hell, you wouldn't have thought anywhere near it. If you were thinking, right, in like COVID crash time, that would become a multi-billion-dollar asset, you'd probably go, no, you just don't know. So remember your risk reward. If you're interested in learning more, there's a 7-day trial to learning crypto. It is going to be massively different next year. You're going to love it. Trust me. More information will drop on that very, very soon. Anyways, enjoy.